The school nurse locked the door and said, "Your daughter's seizures aren't real. Your wife is causing them." I was picking up coffee at the drive-thru when my phone exploded with texts from the school. "Mr. Whitmore, urgent. Come to nurse's office now. Don't call, just come." My daughter Lily had been having violent seizures for 8 months, the kind where she'd drop to the ground convulsing and I'd have to hold her head so she wouldn't crack it open on the floor. We'd spent thousands on specialists who couldn't find anything wrong with her brain. I threw the coffee out the window and ran every red light getting to that school. The seizures were getting worse each month, and last week, Lily stopped breathing for almost a minute before the paramedics got her back. My hands were shaking so badly on the steering wheel, I almost crashed twice. When I burst through the nurse's office door, I expected to find my daughter on the floor dying. Instead, Lily was sitting on the exam table eating an apple and swinging her legs like nothing was wrong. Nurse Patricia Voss didn't say a word. She walked past me, locked the office door from the inside, and pulled down all the blinds so nobody could see in from the hallway. My confusion lasted about 2 seconds before pure terror took over, because her face looked like she'd just witnessed a murder. Patricia pulled out her phone and held it up to show me security footage from the school parking lot. The timestamp said Monday morning at 7:42. I watched my wife Vanessa lean into the passenger side of our car where Lily was sitting, and Vanessa's body blocked the camera view for maybe 15 seconds. When she stepped back, everything looked completely normal. Vanessa walked Lily into the school building holding her hand, both of them smiling. Patricia fast-forwarded the video exactly 38 minutes, and I watched my daughter collapse in the hallway like someone had shot her. Her body hit the tile floor and started convulsing so violently that 2 teachers had to hold her down. Patricia played 4 more videos from different days. Every single one showed the exact same pattern. Vanessa leaning into the car doing something I couldn't see, then Lily seizing less than an hour later. Always after Vanessa dropped her off. Never after I dropped her off. Never on weekends when Vanessa wasn't doing the morning routine. Patricia's voice came out flat and cold when she finally spoke. "Your wife is inducing these seizures. I don't know what she's giving Lily, but she's doing it in the car right before school. I've been documenting this for 6 weeks, and the pattern is perfect. Too perfect." I started laughing because this had to be some kind of sick joke. Vanessa was the one who stayed up all night when Lily seized. She was the one who researched every possible treatment and took her to every specialist. She'd started a whole blog about our journey that had 20,000 followers. People sent us money to help with medical bills. Churches prayed for us. How could the person fighting hardest to save our daughter be the one killing her? But then Patricia showed me something that made my blood stop moving. She pulled up Vanessa's blog on her computer and scrolled to a post from 3 days ago. The post had photos of Lily in the hospital after her worst seizure yet, the one where she stopped breathing. Vanessa had written this long emotional piece about almost losing her baby and not knowing how much longer she could handle watching her daughter suffer. The post had 800 comments, all of them offering support and prayers and money. Patricia pointed at the timestamp. She posted this 4 hours after Lily was released from the hospital. 4 hours. Most mothers would be too destroyed to think about social media. Your wife went home and crafted a perfect narrative with professional quality photos while Lily was sleeping off the trauma. I stared at those photos and realized Vanessa had posed Lily for them, adjusting her hospital gown and the IV line to get the right angle. What kind of mother does that? Patricia opened a folder on her desk that was at least 3 inches thick. I've been a school nurse for 19 years. I worked pediatric ICU before this. I've seen Munchausen syndrome by proxy exactly 3 times, and every single case followed this exact pattern. The mother is always medical or has medical knowledge, always very involved and appears devoted, always thrives on the attention and sympathy, always escalates the abuse when they're not getting enough response. She pulled out a printed spreadsheet showing every seizure Lily had experienced in the past 8 months. The dates, times, locations, witnesses, and who had dropped Lily off that morning. Every single seizure happened after Vanessa's drop-offs. The statistical probability of that being coincidence was basically 0. I felt my reality splitting in half because this meant the woman I'd been married to for 9 years was systematically poisoning our daughter for attention on the internet. This meant every crying phone call, every late-night hospital visit, every desperate prayer was just Vanessa playing a role while she murdered Lily slowly. I asked Patricia why she was telling me this instead of calling the police, and her answer made everything worse. "I already called CPS and filed a mandatory report 2 hours ago. I called you in because you need to get Lily away from your wife immediately. Today. Right now. Don't go home. Don't tell Vanessa what you know. Don't give her any warning that we're onto her." She leaned forward and grabbed my arm hard enough to hurt. "These women kill their kids, Mr. Whitmore. When they realize they're about to be caught, they go for the final act, the ultimate sympathy play. I've seen it happen, and I will not let it happen to Lily." My phone started buzzing with texts from Vanessa. "How's Lily? School said you picked her up? Everything okay? Call me?" I stared at those messages and felt nauseous because I could hear Vanessa's concerned voice in my head, that perfect worried mother tone that I now realized was completely fake. Patricia grabbed my phone and turned it off. "Don't respond. Don't engage. Take Lily and go somewhere Vanessa can't find you until CPS and police finish their investigation." I looked at Lily sitting on that exam table, and she smiled at me with apple stuck in her teeth. She had no idea her mother had been killing her for 8 months. No idea that every seizure that left her terrified and confused was deliberately caused by the person she trusted most in the world. Patricia must have seen something in my face because she suddenly said, "There's more. I need to show you something else before you leave." She pulled up another video on her computer, this one from inside the school hallway. The footage showed Vanessa arriving unannounced last Thursday during lunch period, claiming she forgot to give Lily her medication that morning. The front desk called Lily down from class, and the camera caught Vanessa kneeling beside her in the hallway. Vanessa pulled out a small bottle and gave Lily what looked like a vitamin or pill, making sure Lily swallowed it right there in front of her. 20 minutes later, Lily had the worst seizure she'd ever experienced at school, the one where she stopped breathing and turned blue before the paramedics arrived. Patricia paused the video on Vanessa's face right after Lily swallowed that pill. "Look at her expression. Really look at it." I stared at the frozen image and felt my stomach drop because Vanessa was smiling. Not a concerned mother smile, a satisfied smile. The smile of someone who just accomplished exactly what they set out to do. Patricia closed her laptop and stood up. Whatever she gave Lily that day almost killed her. The paramedics said another minute without oxygen and your daughter would have brain damage. Your wife knew exactly how much to give her, and she pushed it right to the edge. I couldn't process what I was hearing because it was too enormous, too evil, too impossible. But the evidence was right there in front of me. The videos, the patterns, the statistics, the expression on Vanessa's face. My wife was a monster, and I'd been sleeping next to her for 9 years without knowing it. Patricia handed me a business card for a lawyer who specialized in emergency custody cases. "Call her right now. Get temporary custody before Vanessa knows what's happening. CPS caseworker Francine Howard will be at your house in 3 hours to remove any medications or supplements Vanessa's been giving Lily. The police are getting a warrant to search your home and seize Vanessa's computer and phone records. This is happening fast, and you need to be ready." I asked what I was supposed to tell Lily, and Patricia knelt down in front of my daughter. "Sweetheart, you're going to go stay with your dad for a while in a fun new place, like a special daddy-daughter adventure. Would you like that?" Lily nodded enthusiastically because she loved adventures, completely unaware that her entire life was about to explode. Patricia handed me Lily's backpack and walked us out through the back entrance so we wouldn't be seen leaving together. "Don't go home. Don't contact Vanessa. Call that lawyer immediately and do exactly what she tells you." I drove Lily straight to my brother's house 40 minutes away, the only place I could think of where Vanessa wouldn't immediately look for us. The whole drive, Lily was asking why we were going on an adventure without Mommy, and I kept making up stupid answers that didn't make sense. My brother Isaac opened the door and immediately knew something was catastrophically wrong from the look on my face. I got Lily set up watching cartoons in his living room and then pulled him into the garage where she couldn't hear us. When I told him what Patricia had discovered, Isaac's face went white and then red with rage. That psycho has been poisoning Lily for 8 months? For a fucking blog? For internet attention? He started pacing, and I had to grab his shoulders to calm him down because I needed him focused. I called the lawyer Patricia had recommended, and she answered on the second ring. Her name was Veronica Ashford, and she didn't waste time with pleasantries. Veronica asked me rapid-fire questions for 15 minutes while taking notes. Had Vanessa ever been diagnosed with any mental health conditions? Did she have any history of attention-seeking behavior before Lily's seizures started? What medications or supplements did I know about? Did Vanessa work or have medical training? When I told her Vanessa used to be a pharmacy technician before Lily was born, Veronica swore under her breath. That's how she knows exactly what to use. Pharmacy techs have access to information about drug interactions and dosing. She would know what causes seizures, what doesn't show up on standard tox screens, what can kill versus what just makes someone sick. Veronica said she'd file for emergency custody within the hour, and we'd have a hearing tomorrow morning. She told me not to contact Vanessa, not to go home, not to post anything on social media. Your wife is going to lose her mind when she realizes Lily is gone and you're not responding. She will call everyone you know. She will try to make you look like the unstable one. Do not engage. Right on cue, my phone started ringing. Vanessa. I let it go to voicemail. She called again immediately, then again, then again. After the 6th call, she left a voicemail, and I made the mistake of listening to it. Her voice was frantic and crying. "Where are you? Where's Lily? The school said you took her and nobody will tell me what's going on. Please call me back. I'm scared something happened. Please, I need to know our baby is okay." She sounded exactly like a terrified mother, and for a brief second, I wondered if Patricia had made a mistake. But then I remembered that smile on Vanessa's face in the hallway video right before Lily stopped breathing. That wasn't the face of someone who loved our daughter. That was the face of someone who enjoyed watching her suffer. I turned off my phone completely so I wouldn't be tempted to answer, and Isaac did the same when Vanessa started calling him too. Francine from CPS called Isaac's landline around 5 that evening. She'd just left our house after serving Vanessa with notice of the investigation and removing all medications and supplements from the home. "Your wife did not take it well, Mr. Whitmore. She became extremely emotional and accused the school nurse of lying and claimed this was all a misunderstanding. She insisted on calling you repeatedly during my visit, and when you didn't answer, she began having what appeared to be a panic attack. I had to call a crisis counselor to the home. Francine said they'd seized 43 different bottles of supplements, vitamins, and over-the-counter medications from the house. That's an unusually large amount for a family of 3. We're sending everything to the lab for analysis, but I noticed several bottles had handwritten labels instead of original packaging. That's a red flag. She asked if I knew what was in those bottles, and I didn't. Vanessa always handled all the supplements and vitamins for the family. She said it was because she used to work in pharmacy and knew what was safe. Francine told me the police had also served a warrant and taken Vanessa's laptop, phone, and tablet for forensic analysis. We'll be looking at her blog posts, private messages, search history, everything. If there's evidence of premeditation or her discussing this with anyone else online, we'll find it. She said Vanessa had been informed she was not allowed to contact me or Lily, and any violation would result in immediate arrest. A judge had signed an emergency protective order based on the evidence Patricia provided. Francine warned me that Vanessa would likely try to reach out through friends or family, and I should not respond under any circumstances. These cases are extremely volatile. The perpetrator often escalates when their control is threatened. Do not underestimate what she might do. After we hung up, Isaac and I just sat in his kitchen in silence because neither of us knew what to say. My wife of 9 years was officially under investigation for systematically abusing our daughter, and I was hiding in my brother's house like a fugitive. That night, I couldn't sleep at all. I lay on Isaac's guest room floor staring at the ceiling and replaying every moment of the past 8 months. The first seizure had happened right after Vanessa started the blog. She'd been posting about family life and recipes and getting maybe 20 views per post. Then Lily had her first seizure, and Vanessa posted about it, and suddenly hundreds of people were reading and commenting. The next post got 1,000 views. The one after that got 5,000. Each time Lily had a worse seizure, Vanessa's follower count jumped. By month 6, she had 20,000 followers and was getting sponsorship offers from medical supply companies and CBD brands. She'd turned our daughter's suffering into a full-time income stream. I pulled up Vanessa's blog on my phone and started reading through posts I'd barely paid attention to before. The writing was good, almost too good. Every post hit the perfect emotional notes. Vanessa described Lily's seizures in vivid detail that made readers feel like they were experiencing it. She posted photos that looked professionally staged. She responded to every single comment with personalized messages. One commenter had written, "You're such a strong mama, I don't know how you do it." Vanessa's response was, "Some days I don't think I can handle one more seizure, but then I look at Lily's beautiful face, and I find the strength to keep fighting for her." Reading that now made me physically ill because Vanessa was the one causing every seizure she claimed she couldn't handle. She was manufacturing the crisis and then positioning herself as the hero fighting through it. Another commenter asked what the doctors were saying, and Vanessa replied, "We've seen 6 specialists, and they're all baffled. It's like Lily's body is fighting some invisible enemy. I just pray we find answers before it's too late." The manipulation was so calculated, so perfect. Vanessa knew exactly how to make people feel connected to her story and invested in Lily's outcome. She'd built an entire identity around being the devoted mother of a sick child, and she'd convinced thousands of people it was real. The custody hearing the next morning was in front of Judge Dorothy Castellano, an older woman with silver hair who'd apparently seen everything in her 30 years on the bench. Vanessa showed up with her own lawyer, looking exhausted and devastated. Her eyes were red from crying, and she kept glancing at me like I'd betrayed her. The hearing lasted 2 hours, and Veronica presented all the evidence Patricia had gathered: the videos, the pattern analysis, the testimony from school staff, the suspicious medications seized from our home. Vanessa's lawyer argued that this was all circumstantial, and that Vanessa had been nothing but a devoted mother trying desperately to help her sick daughter. He claimed the school nurse was biased and had misinterpreted innocent behavior. Judge Castellano listened to both sides without showing any emotion, and then she asked Vanessa a direct question. "Mrs. Whitmore, why did your daughter only have seizures on mornings when you dropped her off at school? Can you explain that pattern?" Vanessa's face crumpled, and she started sobbing. "I don't know, Your Honor. Maybe she felt more anxious on those mornings? Maybe there was something about our routine that triggered them? I've been trying so hard to figure it out." Judge Castellano wasn't buying it. "In 8 months, it never occurred to you that the pattern was concerning enough to mention to doctors? You never thought to have your husband take her to school instead to see if it made a difference?" Vanessa hesitated just long enough that everyone in the courtroom noticed. I guess I didn't think about it that way. I was just focused on getting her help." The judge leaned forward. "Or you were focused on maintaining the pattern that generated content for your blog and sympathy from your followers." Vanessa's lawyer objected, but Judge Castellano shut him down. "I'm granting temporary emergency custody to Mr. Whitmore pending a full investigation. Mrs. Whitmore is prohibited from any contact with the minor child. This court is adjourned." Vanessa screamed as the judge left the courtroom. Actual screaming, like someone was murdering her. "You can't take my baby from me. She needs me. I'm her mother." Security had to restrain her while her lawyer tried to calm her down, and I watched the performance with detached horror. This was the woman I'd married. This was the mother of my child, and she was willing to kill Lily slowly for internet fame and sympathy. I walked out of that courthouse with Veronica, while Vanessa's screams echoed through the building. Veronica squeezed my shoulder and said, "That reaction right there? That's not a mother who lost access to her child. That's a narcissist who just lost her primary source of supply. Watch. She'll post about this within hours and frame herself as the victim of a corrupt system." I told Veronica she was wrong, that even Vanessa wouldn't be that obvious. But when I checked Vanessa's blog that evening, there was a new post titled, "When the System Fails, Mothers Who Fight." The post was a masterpiece of manipulation. Vanessa wrote about how she'd dedicated her life to fighting for Lily's health, only to have her husband and a biased school nurse turn everyone against her with false accusations. She claimed I'd been emotionally distant throughout Lily's illness and was now using it as an excuse to take custody. She said the real tragedy was that Lily was being ripped away from her mother right when she needed her most. The post had 2,000 comments within 3 hours, almost all of them supporting Vanessa and demonizing me. "Praying for you, Mama. The system is so broken. Don't give up fighting for your baby. Your husband sounds like a narcissist. Document everything." I watched Vanessa's narrative spread across social media in real time, and I realized she was going to fight this battle in the court of public opinion, even if she lost in actual court. She'd built an audience of 20,000 people who believed her version of events, and she was weaponizing them against everyone who threatened her story. Detective Raymond Fletcher from the police department called me 3 days after the custody hearing with an update that made my blood run cold. The forensic analysis of Vanessa's computer had revealed search history that dated back almost a year. Your wife was researching how to induce seizures in children 9 months before Lily's first seizure. She looked up dosing information for medications that cause neurological symptoms. She researched Munchausen syndrome by proxy extensively, including how perpetrators get caught and how to avoid detection. This was premeditated, Mr. Whitmore. She planned every detail. Raymond said they'd also found private messages between Vanessa and another woman who ran a similar blog about her sick child. The two of them had been sharing tips about which symptoms generated the most engagement and which hospitals were less likely to ask questions. "We're investigating the other woman now, too. This might be bigger than just your wife." The lab results came back on the medications seized from our house, and what they found was nightmare fuel. 17 of the 43 bottles contained medications that weren't labeled correctly. One bottle marked vitamin B complex actually contained crushed antihistamine tablets that cause sedation and can trigger seizures in high doses. Another bottle labeled immune support was full of blood pressure medication that Vanessa had no prescription for. A third bottle marked herbal sleep aid contained a mixture of medications that should never be combined and could easily cause the exact seizures Lily had been experiencing. Raymond explained that Vanessa had been using her pharmacy knowledge to create custom combinations that would cause specific symptoms without being obvious in standard medical tests. She knew exactly what she was doing. The dosing was precise enough to cause symptoms, but not kill. That takes skill and knowledge. This wasn't accidental or confused. This was methodical abuse. Francine called to schedule a forensic interview with Lily to determine what she remembered and understood about her mother's behavior. The interview would be conducted by a child psychologist named Iris Calloway who specialized in abuse cases. I brought Lily to a child advocacy center that looked more like a playroom than an interrogation space. Iris was warm and gentle, and she spent the first 20 minutes just playing with Lily to build rapport. Then she started asking careful questions about Lily's morning routine with Mommy. Did Mommy give her special drinks or vitamins? Did Mommy ever give her medicine that tasted bad? Did Lily remember anything unusual happening before she felt sick? Lily was remarkably honest in the way only children can be. She said Mommy gave her a special smoothie every morning that was supposed to make her healthy, but it always made her tummy hurt. She said sometimes Mommy gave her extra vitamins in the car before school, and those ones made her feel sleepy and weird. Iris asked Lily if Mommy ever told her not to tell Daddy about the special smoothies or vitamins, and Lily nodded. Mommy said it was our special secret because Daddy wouldn't understand that she was helping me. My heart shattered into pieces, hearing my daughter describe how Vanessa had manipulated her into keeping the abuse secret. Iris recorded everything and told me afterward that Lily's testimony was consistent with systematic poisoning, and that Lily had been psychologically manipulated to believe the poisoning was helping her. Your wife created a scenario where Lily thought the very thing making her sick was medicine. That level of psychological abuse on top of the physical abuse is going to require extensive therapy. I asked how long until Lily would be okay, and Iris was honest. Years, Mr. Whitmore. Recovering from this kind of betrayal by a primary caregiver takes years of work. But children are resilient, and with proper support, she can heal. The criminal charges against Vanessa came down 2 weeks after the custody hearing. She was arrested at her mother's house and charged with child abuse, reckless endangerment, assault, and fraud related to the fundraising money. The bail was set at $500,000, which her family couldn't afford, so Vanessa sat in jail, awaiting trial. Her blog went dark immediately, but her followers created support groups on social media, claiming she was innocent and being railroaded by a corrupt system. They started a fundraiser for her legal defense that raised $30,000 in 3 days. I watched this unfold with amazement because Vanessa had created such a compelling narrative that people couldn't accept the truth, even when presented with evidence. They'd rather believe in a conspiracy to destroy a devoted mother than accept that the devoted mother was actually a monster. Detective Fletcher called to tell me they'd found Vanessa's burner phone hidden in her car with messages that proved everything. Vanessa had been communicating with 3 other women who were also making their children sick for attention. They shared tips, celebrated successful hospital visits, and encouraged each other to escalate symptoms when engagement numbers dropped. One message from Vanessa said, "Had to really push it this time, gave Elle double dose before school, and she seized for almost 5 minutes. Paramedics were called and everything. Blog post will be amazing." Another message said, "Doctor is starting to ask too many questions. Might need to switch hospitals soon. Anyone have recommendations for places that don't scrutinize too much?" Reading these messages made me physically sick, because they proved Vanessa viewed Lily as nothing more than content for her blog. Our daughter was a prop in Vanessa's performance of motherhood. The prosecutor handling the case, Catherine Vale, was a no-nonsense woman who'd been putting away child abusers for 15 years. She met with me to discuss trial strategy and warn me about what was coming. "Your wife's defense will be that she genuinely believed she was helping Lily and that the medications were legitimate treatments she researched online. They'll try to paint her as a confused, overwhelmed mother who made mistakes but never intended harm. We need to prove intent and show the jury that every action was calculated." Catherine said my testimony would be crucial, along with Patricia's evidence and the forensic analysis of Vanessa's computer. The trial was set for 4 months out, which meant 4 months of waiting while Vanessa sat in jail, spinning new narratives to anyone who would listen. Her jailhouse calls were being recorded, and Catherine said Vanessa spent every call claiming she was innocent and that I had brainwashed everyone against her. She has zero insight into what she's done. In her mind, she's the victim here. Lily's health improved dramatically once Vanessa's influence was removed completely. Within 2 weeks, she hadn't had a single seizure. Within a month, she'd gained weight and her energy returned. The neurologist who'd been treating her was shocked by the transformation and wrote a detailed report confirming that Lily's seizures were clearly induced by external factors and not the result of any neurological condition. He felt terrible that he hadn't caught it sooner, but Catherine explained that doctors are trained to trust parents and don't usually suspect this kind of abuse unless there are obvious red flags. Vanessa had been careful to spread the appointments across multiple specialists, so no single doctor saw the full pattern. She'd controlled all the information flow and presented herself as the ultimate advocate, which made doctors more likely to believe her narrative. The trial started on a cold morning in January, and the courtroom was packed with media and spectators. Vanessa's blog followers filled half the gallery, wearing matching t-shirts that said, "Justice for Vanessa," with her face printed on them. It was surreal and disturbing watching people rally behind someone who'd systematically poisoned a child. Catherine's opening statement laid out the evidence methodically: the videos, the search history, the messages, the forensic analysis of the medications, Lily's testimony, the pattern of seizures. She painted a picture of a woman who craved attention so desperately that she was willing to sacrifice her daughter's health and safety to get it. Vanessa's lawyer, Gerald Preston, argued that Vanessa was a devoted mother who'd been trying unconventional treatments out of desperation when traditional medicine failed. He claimed the prosecution was criminalizing a mother's attempts to help her sick child. Patricia testified first, walking the jury through her months of observation and documentation. She explained how she'd noticed the pattern and started recording everything because the consistency was too perfect to be coincidental. Gerald tried to discredit her by suggesting she had a personal vendetta against Vanessa, but Patricia shut it down immediately. "I have no vendetta against Mrs. Whitmore. I have a professional obligation to protect children from harm. The evidence speaks for itself." Detective Fletcher testified next about the search history and messages they'd found on Vanessa's devices. He read several messages aloud to the jury, and I watched their faces change from skeptical to horrified as they heard Vanessa discussing dosing strategies and celebrating Lily's worst seizures. One juror, an older man in the back row, actually had tears in his eyes. The forensic toxicologist explained how the medications in the mislabeled bottles were specifically chosen to cause seizures without leaving obvious traces. These combinations show sophisticated knowledge of drug interactions and neurological effects. This wasn't someone confused about supplements. This was someone deliberately creating a specific outcome. When it was my turn to testify, I walked through our marriage and Lily's illness from my perspective. I described how devoted Vanessa seemed, how I never suspected anything was wrong until Patricia showed me the evidence. Catherine asked me about Vanessa's blog, and I explained how it had grown alongside Lily's worsening condition. Every time Lily got sicker, my wife got more popular online. I didn't see the connection until Detective Fletcher pointed it out, but once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. Gerald's cross-examination tried to paint me as an absent father who wasn't involved enough to know what was really happening, but I held my ground. I was working full-time to pay medical bills while Vanessa stayed home. I trusted her completely because she was my wife and Lily's mother. The defense's case was weak because there wasn't much they could argue against the mountain of evidence. They called a few character witnesses who testified about what a good mother Vanessa appeared to be, but Catherine destroyed them on cross by asking if they'd ever witnessed Vanessa alone with Lily during the morning routine. None of them had. Gerald put Vanessa on the stand against Catherine's expectations, and it backfired spectacularly. Vanessa started strong, crying about how much she loved Lily and how she'd only wanted to help her. But Catherine's cross-examination was brutal. She made Vanessa read her own messages aloud, the ones where she celebrated Lily's seizures and discussed dosing strategies. She made Vanessa explain why she researched Munchausen syndrome by proxy if she wasn't aware she was committing it. Vanessa fell apart on the stand, her story changing multiple times, contradicting herself. By the end, even her supporters in the gallery looked uncertain. The jury deliberated for 6 hours before returning with a verdict. Guilty on all counts. Child abuse, reckless endangerment, assault, fraud. Vanessa showed no emotion when the verdict was read, just stared straight ahead like she couldn't process what was happening. The sentencing hearing happened 2 weeks later, and Catherine asked for the maximum penalty. This defendant used her knowledge and her position as a mother to systematically abuse her child for personal gain. She showed no remorse, no insight, and continued to claim victimhood even when confronted with overwhelming evidence. She is a danger to any child in her care. The judge agreed and sentenced Vanessa to 18 years in prison with mandatory psychiatric treatment. She'd also be required to pay restitution for all medical expenses and fraud-related costs. The blog money, nearly $40,000, was seized and would go toward Lily's therapy and future medical care. Vanessa was led out of the courtroom in handcuffs, and I felt absolutely nothing watching her go. No satisfaction, no relief, just emptiness. The woman I'd married didn't exist anymore, if she ever had. Lily and I started rebuilding our lives slowly. She was in therapy twice a week with Iris, working through the trauma and learning to trust again. I had to explain in age-appropriate ways that Mommy had been sick in her brain and had done things that hurt Lily, even though she shouldn't have. Lily struggled with it, asking why Mommy would hurt her if mommies are supposed to protect you. I didn't have good answers beyond sometimes people's brains don't work right and make them do terrible things. Iris said Lily was processing healthily, but would carry these scars forever. The goal isn't to make her forget. It's to help her understand it wasn't her fault and build healthy relationships despite what happened. 6 months after Vanessa's sentencing, Lily had her first completely seizure-free evaluation. The neurologist declared her neurologically normal and said there was no reason to expect any future seizures unless they were induced again. Lily was thriving in school, had friends, laughed constantly. She was everything she should have been all along before Vanessa started poisoning her. We created new routines and traditions that had nothing to do with her mother. Friday movie nights, Saturday morning pancakes, bedtime stories where Lily was always the hero. I watched my daughter become the happy, healthy kid she deserved to be, and I felt grateful we'd caught it before Vanessa killed her, because that's where it was heading. Catherine told me after the trial that based on the escalation pattern in Vanessa's messages, Lily probably had maybe 3 months before Vanessa pushed it too far and caused permanent brain damage or death. We'd caught it just in time. Vanessa's blog followers gradually dispersed when more details came out during the trial. Some of them apologized publicly for supporting her. Others doubled down and claimed the evidence was fabricated. A few were investigated themselves after Detective Fletcher's team found concerning patterns in their children's medical histories. 2 other women were eventually arrested in connected cases, and the whole network of mothers poisoning their kids for attention began to unravel. It turned out Vanessa had been part of something much bigger, a community of women who encouraged each other's abuse and celebrated sick kids as content opportunities. The whole thing made national news, and new protocols were put in place at hospitals to catch Munchausen syndrome by proxy cases earlier. Patricia was interviewed on several news programs about how to recognize the warning signs, and she became a voice for protecting kids from this specific kind of abuse. I think about those 8 months sometimes and how I missed all the signs, how I believed Vanessa's performance so completely that I never questioned anything. But I also know that's exactly how abusers like her operate. They're so good at playing the role that even people closest to them don't see through it. Vanessa fooled doctors, teachers, family members, and 20,000 blog followers. She was a master manipulator who knew exactly which emotional buttons to push. I don't blame myself for not seeing it sooner, but I do make sure I never take Lily's health for granted. Every milestone she hits now, every normal kid thing she does, feels like a victory over what Vanessa tried to do to her. Lily is 9 now and doesn't remember most of the abuse, which Iris says is actually healthy. Her brain protected her by blocking out the worst parts. She knows her mother is in prison and that Mommy's brain was sick, and that's enough for now. Thanks for hanging out till the end. If you want more stories, make sure to subscribe and leave your take below.